February 10th, 2026. 15.5 Ways of Reflecting Wisely Read in Parts. Part 7, page 1506 to page 1516. 15.5p Reflecting on the alternatives and other possibilities of Yo Niso Mana Sikara. 15.5q Detailed analysis as a response to questions. 15.5q is a long one, so I'm going to break up 15.5q into two parts also. So tomorrow, part 8 is going to be the last of chapter 15.5, Buddha Dhamma, compiled by Somdit Prabhuta Gosa Acharya, English name, P.A. Payuto. Buddha Dhamma, chapter 15.5p, reflecting on alternatives and other possibilities. When trying to achieve something or to reach some desired goal, or when trying to understand the existence of some arisen phenomenon, a person should be aware of the following things. There may be many ways to reach this goal, or there may be different possibilities for this arisen phenomenon to exist. Of these different methods or possibilities, some of them may be better, more effective, or more decisive than others. Of these different methods, some of them, or one of them, may be more appropriate or more effective for oneself, for other people, or for particular situations other than the methods. There may be one or several methods to achieve this goal, or several possibility or something to exist, but it may be different from the method that is currently practiced, or different from the possibility one currently perceives. This awareness has many benefits. It keeps one from getting stuck, turning in circles, and finding no way out. In respect to fruitless, incorrect, and inappropriate ways of practice or thought patterns. When one acts or thinks in ways that are unsuccessful, it prevents one from giving up out of discouragement or the sense of helplessness. Most importantly, it enables one to search for and discover methods of possibilities that are correct, appropriate, precise, practical, and effective. An example of this way of reflection, Yo Niso Mana Sikara, can be seen in the life account of the Lord Gautama Buddha when he endeavored as a bodhisattva. Remember what a bodhisattva is before enlightenment. To practice severe austerities, which were considered an ideal at that time. Many groups of ascetics during that time period were practicing penances and asceticism. Groups of Brahmins comprised of Hindus, Jainism or Jains, and Buddhist sect during the time in Bharat or in India. With all his strength and to an extreme, he was unsuccessful. Instead of getting frustrated and despairing, he recognized that this is not the correct path for reaching the goal, and then reflected further. At the time, he had this thought: by this racking practice of austerities and penance, I have not attained any superhuman states, any distinction in knowledge and vision making for being a noble one. There must be another path to awakening. After having this thought, he discovered the Majjhima Patipata, the middle way, which he practiced until reaching the knowledge of awakening, Bodhi Nana. Now, 15.5Q, it starts at the bottom of page 1507, and I'm going to read up to page 1516. 15.5Q, Part 1, Detailed Analysis as a Response to Questions. Detailed analysis, vibhajavata, appears frequently in the Tipitaka as the response to questions. And it is classified as one of the 4 responses to questions. Applying detailed analysis to answer a question is given the special term vibhaja vyakarana, analytical explanation. Here there are 4 ways of answering the questions. Paha vyakarana. First one, ikamsa vyakarana, to answer from a single perspective, to answer in a decisive, categorical sense. Second, vibhaja vyakarana, to answer by detailed analysis. Third, pachipucha vijakarana, to answer by posing a question in return. And fourth, dapana, to refrain from answering, to desist, to dismiss the question. These 4 kinds of answers correspond with the 4 kinds of questions, which are listed here along with simple examples given in latter texts. These 4 questions gives examples in simple. The first one, ikamsa ya karaniya pana, questions that should be answered decisively and categorically. The examples to question is the I impermanent? One should answer absolutely and directly yes. Second, vibhaja vaya karana pana, questions that should be answered by way of analysis or categorization. The example here is to question, that which is impermanent, is the I correct? One should answer, not only the eye, the ear, the nose, etc. are also impermanent. The third is pati pucha via karaniya pana, questions to be answered by questions. For example, to question, the eye is the same as the ear, correct? One should ask in return, which aspect are you referring to? If you are referring to the faculty of seeing, then no. But if you are referring to the state of being impermanent, then yes. The fourth, tapaniya pana, questions that should be dismissed and not answered. For examples to questions, is the physical body, sarira, the same as life principle, the jiva? One should desist from answering. In respective to the first kind of question, it does not require an explanation, or it has no exceptions. It can be thus answered immediately and absolutely. Another question is asked, everyone has to die, correct? Here one can answer immediately, yes. The second kind of question has aspects that needs to be explained by using the various kind of detailed analysis described above. In respect to the third kind of question, one should make inquiries in return in order to seek clarity before answering. This method can be used in conjunction with the second kind of response of answering by detailed analysis. In the Tipitaka, the Buddha Gautama frequently uses the methods of replying to a question with another question. By doing this, the questioner was gradually able to understand and answer his own question. The Buddha Gautama simply pointed out particular frames of reference or new perspectives without needing to answer the question directly. The fourth kind of question to this which one should desist from answering refers to senseless, foolish, absurd questions. Alternatively, it refers to those matters the questioner is not yet capable of understanding. Here it is better to first instill a basic understanding of other matters. Later, one may be able to speak about the original question, or else the person understands the matter by himself. On the more suitable level of those questions incorrectly posed, which stem from the misunderstanding and incongruence with truth, examples from the Tipitaka include such questions: who cognizes? Whose cognition? Who experiences sense objects? Whose feelings the Vedana feelings? One is unable to answer these questions in the way that the questioner desires, and thus it is better to dismiss these questions. One may explain the reason for not answering, or ask the questioner to reformulate the question so it accords with reality. Now, following some of the passages from the Tipitaka describing detailed analysis, Vibhajavata or Vibhaja-ovata, Venerable Sariputra forms cognizable by I are of two kinds, I say, to be cultivated and not to be cultivated, which reference to what has this said. Such form cognizable by I causes unwholesome states to increase and wholesome states to diminish, and one who cultivates them should not be cultivated. But such form cognizable by the eye has caused unwholesome states to diminish and wholesome states to increase, and one who cultivates them should be cultivated. Venerable Sariputra continues on with sounds, odors, flavors, tangibles, mind objects, cognizable by the eyes of two kinds, I say, to be cultivated and not to be cultivated. That is an example from the Sevetaba Sutra. Bhikkhus, robes of two kinds, I say, to be used and not to be used. With reference to what is this said, if a bhikkhu knows of a robe, when I use this robe, unwholesome qualities increase in me and wholesome qualities decline. He should not use such a robe. But if he knows of a robe, when I use this robe, unwholesome qualities decline in me and wholesome qualities increase. He should use such a robe. Bhikkhus, alms food, dwellings of two kinds, I say, to be used and not to be used. Villages, towns, districts of two kinds, I say, to be resorted to and not to be resorted to. Persons of two kinds, I say, to be associated with and not to be associated with. Here, bhikkhus, a bhikkhu lives in the forest. While he is living there, his unestablished sati, mindfulness, does not become established. His unconcentrated mind does not become concentrated. His undestroyed asavas, taints, do not become destruction. He does not attain the unattained supreme security from bondage, and also the requisites of life that should be obtained by one who has gone forth. Robes, alms food, resting place, and medicinal requisites are hard to come by. Consider this, that bhikkhus should depart from the forest that very night, and that very day he should not continue living there. When he is living in the forest, his unestablished mindfulness does not become established. His unconcentrated mind does not become concentrated. His undestroyed taints do not come to destruction. He does not attain the unattained supreme security from bondage, but the requisites of life are easy to come by. Considering thus, have reflected thus, the bhikkhu should depart from that forest. He should not continue living there. While he is living in the forest, his unestablished mindfulness becomes established. His unconcentrated mind becomes concentrated. His undestroyed taints comes to destruction. The qualities of life are hard to come by. The monk considers thus, I did not go forth from home life into homelessness for the sake of robes, alms, food, lodging, and medicine and requisites. Moreover, while I was living in the forest, my unestablished mindfulness has become established. My unconcentrated mind has become concentrated. Having reflected thus, the monk, the bhikkhu, should refrain or remain in the forest. He should not depart. While he was living in the forest, his unestablished mindfulness become established. His unconcentrated mind becomes concentrated. His undestroyed asavats, taints, comes to destruction. He attains to unattained supreme security from bondage, and the requisites of life are easy to come by. Having reflected thus, the monk, the bhikkhu, should continue living in that forest for the rest of his life. He should not depart. Vanapata Sutra. Now, Prince Abhaya says, or puts the question to Gautama Buddha, would you, venerable sir, utter such speech as would be unwelcome and disagreeable to others? Gautama Buddha replies, there is no one-sided answer to this question, Prince. The Buddha distinguishes that speech when he utters and that which he does not, the gist of which is follows. Speech that is untrue, incorrect, unbeneficial, and is also unwelcome and disagreeable to others, he does not utter. Speech that is true and correct, yet is unbeneficial, and is also unwelcome and disagreeable to others, he does not utter. Speech that is true, correct, and beneficial, but is unwelcome and disagreeable to others, he is selective about uttering. Speech that is untrue, incorrect, unbeneficial, yet is welcome and agreeable to others, he does not utter. Speech that is true, correct, yet is unbeneficial, even if it is welcome and agreeable to others, he does not utter. Speech that is true, correct, and beneficial, and is also welcome and agreeable to others, he is selective about uttering. Gautama Buddha asks Venerable Ananda, what do you think, Ananda? Does every sort of moral conduct, sila, religious practice, arduous spiritual endeavor, religious life, and the act of precipitation bear fruit? Venerable Ananda answers, there is no one-sided answer to this question, Venerable Sir. Gautama Buddha, in that case, make a distinction, Ananda replies. If by engaging in moral conduct, religious practice, arduous spiritual endeavor, religious life, or the act of precipitation, unwholesome states increase and wholesome states diminish, that moral conduct, the act of precipitation, is fruitless. If by engaging in the moral precept, religious practice, and spiritual endeavor, religious life, or the act of precipitations, unwholesome states diminish and wholesome states increase, that moral precepts, the act of precipitation, is fruitful. So it is said that Venerable Ananda and the Supreme Teacher, Gautama Buddha, agreed with him. Now, these religious wanderers asked his householder Yamahita, is it true, householder, what they say that the ascetic Gautama censures all asceticism, and that he categorically condemns and reproves all ascetics who live a harsh and austere life? The householder replies, no, Venerable Sir. The Blessed One Gautama does not censure all asceticism, nor does he categorically condemn and reprove all ascetics who live a harsh and austere life. What is blameworthy, the Blessed One blames. What is praiseworthy, he praises. The Blessed One is the speaker of reason. He blames what is blameworthy and praises what is praiseworthy. He does not teach here in a one-sided way. The Brahmin student Supa. When we talk about Brahman, these are Hindus. The Brahmin student Supa poses the question, Master Gautama, the Brahmins say this: the householder is successfully developed wholesome states, which constitute the way to liberation. The one who goes forth into homelessness or homeless life is not successfully developing wholesome states, which constitute the way to liberation. What does the Master Gautama say about this? Gautama Buddha replies, Here the student, I am one who speaks after making an analysis. I do not speak one-sidedly. I do not praise the wrong way of practice on the part either of the householder or one who has gone forth. For whether it be a householder or one who has gone forth, one who practices incorrectly by reason of his wrong way of practice is not successfully developing wholesome states, which constitute the way to liberation. I praise the right way of practice on the part either of the householder or of one who has gone forth. For whether it be a householder or the one who has gone forth, the monk, one who practices correctly by reason of his right way of practice is successfully developing wholesome states, which constitute the way to liberation. The Brahmin Supa answers, Master Gautama, the Brahmins say this: since the work of the household life involves a great deal of activity, great deeds, great engagements, and great undertaking, it is of great fruit. Since the work of those who have gone forth as monks, ascetics, siddhis, sadhus, involves a small amount of activity, small deeds, small engagement, small undertaking, is it small fruit? What does Master Gautama say about this? Gautama Buddha replies, Here too, student Supa, I am one who speaks after making an analysis. I do not speak one-sidedly. There is work involving a great deal of activity, great deeds, and great engagements, and great undertakings, which, when it fails, it is of small fruit. There is work involving a great deal of activity, great deeds, great engagements, and great undertaking, which when it succeeds, it is of great fruit. There is work involving a small amount of activity, small deeds, small engagement, and small undertakings, which when it fails, it is of small fruit. There is work involving a small amount of activity, small deeds, small engagements, small undertakings, which when it succeeds, it is of great fruit. This is from the Religious Wanderer. Poised to Venerable Samiti. Friend Samiti, having done an intentional action by way of body, intentional action by way of speech, intentional action by way of mind, what does one feel? Venerable Samiti replies, having done an intentional action by way of body, by way of speech or mind, one feels dukkha, suffering. Friend, Boli Putra. The Buddha later heard about this conversation and said, through the wanderer, Putra's question should have been analyzed before being answered. This misguided man, Samiti, answered in one-sidedly. From the start, the wanderer, Putra, had asked about the three kinds of feeling, the three kinds of vedana. This misguided man, Sammati, would have answered the Wanarpaliputra correctly if, when answered thus, he would have explained, friend, Botapaliputra, having done an intentional action by way of body, an intentional action by way of speech, an intentional action by way of mind, which acts as a basis for pleasant sensation, one feels pleasure. Having done an intentional action by way of body, by way of speech or mind, on that acts as a basis for painful sensation, one feels pain. Having done an intentional action by way of body, by speech, by mind, which one acts as the basis of neither pain nor pleasure sensation, indifference, one feels neither pain nor pleasure. Venerable Ananda went on alms round and entered the house of a female lay disciple, Migasala, who said to him, Venerable Sir Ananda, just how should this teaching of the Blessed One be understood? Where one who is celibate, one who does not practice celibacy, both have exactly the same destination in their future life. My father, Purana, was celibate, having apart abstained from sexual intercourse, the common person's practice. When he died, the Blessed One declared he is a being who is a non-returner, or who is a once returner, a sotaban, and has not been reborn in the Dusita group of Devatas, one of the realms of heaven, the Dutisa. My father's dear friend, Isitata, was not celibate, but lived contented with his wife. When he died, the Blessed One also declared he is a being who is a once returner, a sotapan, and has been reborn in the Tusita group of Devatas, reborn into a heavenly realm. Venerable Ananda acknowledged this question but did not answer. Instead, he brought this matter to Gautama Buddha. Gautama Buddha explained that to understand this matter, one must be able to distinguish between different kinds of people. One must possess the knowledge that fathoms the superior and inferior qualities of different people. In Pali, it's called Purisa Pukala Pariyo Pariya Na. The knowledge of fathoms the superior and inferior qualities of different people, different types of people. Gautama Buddha went on to describe 6 types of people organized into 3 pairs. And in the second sutra, he describes 10 types of people organized into 5 pairs. In regard to each of these pairs, the individual shared certain qualities or attributes, especially ones connected to the interpersonal or social relationships. But in other areas, they have distinctive attributes, especially personal qualities, which corresponds with beneficial results. Those who are judgmental will conclude these 2 people have similar attributes. Why is one person more successful than the other? Such an assessment will lead them to their harm. By focusing on external attributes, Purana appears to be superior to Isitata, but their essential internal attributes are the same. They are both endowed with the same essential qualities in relation to virtuous conduct, sila, and they also are endowed with the same level of wisdom. I'm going to leave off of that at the bottom of page 1516 of 15.5 Q, and we'll pick up with this tomorrow. Buddha Dhamma.